Okay, we're recording.
Hello. 1, 2, 3.
I'm working late because I'm a teacher.
And I'm in TED. Hello.
1, 2, 3. 안녕하세요. Welcome to our podcast.
Episode 2.
We're your hosts, Lois
And Irene.
This is a work in progress.
we'll work on the intro.
Oh my gosh. All right. What are we talking about today, Irene?
Today, everyone's favorite topic. Career, hustling, and why.
Yes, careers, our jobs, our...
Womp womp.
What are we slaves to? Okay, before we start, snack spotlight.
Woohoo!
We have our Sanso today. Cheers. Well, we have to open it first.
Yes.
Oh, this might be hard with one hand.
Yeah.
I need it. Okay, we're gonna have to put the mic down for this for just a second.
I'm gonna try to ASMR.
Oh my god, your nails are so long. Oh my gosh. I'm very curious to see how that got caught on the microphone.
Waffly.
Shout out to Sanso. It says the first Asian inspired sparkling water. Have you had Sanso before?
Yes.
Okay.
At your birthday party.
Oh yeah. Cheers. Ooh, love it. Love it.
Delicious.
The yuzu one is my favorite. They have a good amount of flavors. I still need to try the other ones. And our nostalgic snack for today,
Choco pie. For those that don't know.
I know, I was like, people are like, what is a choco pie?
It's like chocolate marshmallow fluff combined.
Yeah, like a little chocolate
like
marshmallow cake,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I'm gonna open it with my teeth. This is a very nostalgic snack. Have you ever had this delivered to you by your mom, like on a plate, like unwrapped?
No.
Oh, really? Like, I feel like, I don't know specifically to me, but I remember like if, like when I would get tutored, you know how like the Asian thing is like always to serve the tutor like snacks or like fruit especially. But I remember sometimes I think my mom would like literally bring a choco pie on a plate, like have it cut up all cute and nice.
You know, if you microwave these for 20 seconds, good.
What? I've never microwaved it.
Yeah, I did that. Life changing.
Oh my god, cheers. You know, some people hate cheersing food.
Yes, I think I know our mutual friend.
Yeah. Do you have that ick though? Does that give you ick?
Okay. I love it. I'll cheers anything.
Oh, that's crumbling.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna have it's getting so hot. It's fine. It's getting hot, so like the ants are coming, so we're gonna have to wash all these crumblies later.
Just placing on the table for you.
All right. So today we're talking about our careers. We have boss girl boss. Quite hard, I believe.
Cheers to us for that.
I think one thing I appreciate about, I feel like I say that a lot, but like I think in our friendship, something, even though we have really different careers, something that we have in common is just like the hustle.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know. And then I we'll get into it, but I wanted us to talk about our jobs and a little bit like what we do and kind of stuff like that, but also like why we hustle, because I feel like we have very specific reasons why. Deep rooted, or maybe our families or upbringing, stuff like that. But yeah, I just feel like, because I don't want to like downplay other people, but I just feel like sometimes it's like I don't see that in everybody. And I don't want to like, you know, make me sound like I'm the best, I hustle so hard. But I feel like it's just like a trait that I really respect about people is like when I see the hustle, when I see the drive.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get into that, like about hustle culture and like, you know, it could be toxic, but I think in the root of it, it can also be inspiring.
Yeah, but sometimes I just want to live, laugh, love, you know? Like,
was that eat, pray, love? Like, but live, laugh,
I just want to eat, pray, love, live, laugh, love.
Yes.
You have a little bit of choco pie in your teeth. I'm gonna just tell you right now.
Before the viewers.
Yes. Call you out.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it wasn't seen in there.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you a tissue actually. But I wanted to talk about our careers. And I guess we'll start off by saying like what we do.
Yeah.
And we'll just a brief description.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do a brief description and then a day in my life. We're a hot mess over here.
Little break for my what?
How about I go first? Say Perfect, you're good.
Okay. We're ready now.
This is depicting of our friendship.
You go first.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk about what I do and then what a day in my life looks like. I'll try to keep it short.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am a special education teacher. This is Lois talking, by the way, for the only listeners. Yeah, so I'm a special education teacher. Gosh, that's it. A day in my life. Okay. Most people work, I feel like 9 to 5. Teachers work, I would say it's more like a 7 to 3.
Yeah.
We do a lot of overtime. I've gotten a lot better at not doing overtime.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, I get to work at like 7:30, 7:40. Yeah, teachers get to work. We get some prep time, whatever. Sometimes we have meetings. School starts, and I saw this meme where it was like, teaching is the only job where you have to work so that you, I don't know what it was. It was like, you have to work so that you have work to do during the day. But then because you're working during the day, you don't have the time to work. Like basically all the prep stuff that you do, it's like we have to go and prep so that we have something to teach, but then we have all this other stuff to do. But because we're busy teaching, we have to stay after to prep again and get all like the other stuff done.
Yeah, it's like a thankless job.
Yeah, it's an endless cycle. But that's basically what a day in my life looks like. I literally get to work, I check my emails, and then the craziness starts of just children all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like I'm a teacher, but I sometimes don't feel like a teacher. 90% of the time. I feel like I am just behavior management, trying to just keep children alive. Right now I teach TK Kinder, which is like 4 or 5-year-olds, and it's special education. I don't know, you can imagine what the crazy of that looks like.
Right.
But yeah, it's literally just running around all day, making sure everyone's safe, making sure people are sitting in their chairs. It's not like your typical teacher image that when you look up Google teacher, someone like up there on the whiteboard, like, okay, everybody, A, B, C. No, like that's, oh no, that's not happening. Like most of the time, like, hey, let's do yourself.
You wrangle.
Yeah, it's
so like that's a toddler at home and also at school. 24/7.
So yeah, that's kind of what my day looks like. A lot of my job consists of meetings. As a special education teacher, you're doing IEPs. If you know, you know. A lot of meetings, a lot of like, so while I'm trying to quote unquote teach, I'm trying to also set up meetings, collaborate, communicate with service providers because all my kids have speech, OT, all that jazz. A lot of stuff like that. And then trying to squeeze in IEP meetings, trainings, whatever. That's kind of the gist. I mean, there's so much more that I could go into.
Yeah, just like
I feel like it'd be funny to, the PowerPoint presentation trend. That'd be so funny. But
one day.
Yeah, that's the gist of a day in the life, I guess. Yeah.
And sorry for the mic listeners, I just burped. So, yeah, I would say, but also you just got your master's.
Yes, I got my MED. Everyone's like, oh, so where do you get? It's literally just for a raise. For people who don't know,
get that raise.
I know for teachers, we're part of a union. We can't be like, give me a raise, I'm doing awesome. It doesn't work that way. We're on a salary schedule. So basically me getting my master's just bumps me up on the salary schedule.
Awesome.
I'm still going to be a teacher. Nothing's changing. I'm just going to get paid more.
Yay. We love that.
Yay
money.
Yeah. Truly.
So I work in tech, and I would say the day in the life, it's
what company do you work for?
Well, currently I work at TikTok, and I would say
What's your job title?
Social media manager. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I almost forgot. Yeah, social media manager. So working with like, say your favorite brand, you follow them on Instagram, Facebook, on all these things. There's people behind the scenes that are building those posts on the daily. So you have something to look at and obviously to engage with, whether it be a new product or things like that. But basically that's kind of like my role in a nutshell. There's like a lot that goes into it too, but I would say my typical day in the life is very unique because every day is a little bit different. But I would say there's also a difference between working as a social media manager um outside of tech versus tech also. But
Oh, wait, what do you mean by that?
so non-tech roles in the same space, same role.
Oh, like a social media manager,
Mm-hmm.
not in tech?
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's a different pay scale. It's you do similar work, but it's just like the industry is
Got
different.
it, got it.
So,
Okay.
but anyways, my day in the life is basically I build. Let me think. Okay, I build like content calendars for the week, weeks and months ahead, and then I work with a team of freelancers that I hire to produce said videos. I constantly ideate to see like what's trending and seeing what is relevant for our brand, and then obviously the analytics behind that. And all that comes into like whatever product or feature that we're trying to promote. So everything's happening at the same time. And like I have to balance a lot of different projects simultaneously along with big activations that we do. So we do like award shows. We have like mid-year campaigns or projects that like require the whole team's effort. So it's a lot of like covering a lot of hats with one person, and that's like relevant across all different industries.
Yeah.
But I think for my personality type, I like that. So basically in essence it's like you're wearing a lot of different hats and not every day is the same. So like there's a lot of change that happens constantly, and depending on your personality type you might love that or not. And one thing I like about working here currently is I have a lot of creative freedom. So if I have an idea, I can build it today and it goes out tomorrow. While in other places that are a little bit more structured, you have to get approvals, you have to like wait like a couple days. But for trends and things like that, like if you miss a couple days, that trend is over. So then you're already old news.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to get that autonomy. But I would say my hours are, again, I think this is a tech thing, but like I can start at like 10:30, but then I could literally work till like 8. And obviously if I'm working on something, I could also be working all night because I think in tech and just in social media in general, you're constantly on your phone. So I have a very short attention span. And so I'm always on my phone looking, and like for me, like how I find rest is through my phone too, like just scrolling, mindlessly scrolling, and I have to do that for my job anyway. So I feel like I'm constantly working, but I love the job. So it doesn't feel like a job all the time, but obviously there's like struggles, obviously with like knowing when to turn things off. But yeah, I guess that's the gist of it.
Are you hourly pay or salary?
Salary.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like, because you were talking about how you work like sometimes late to the night, do you feel like you've seen people in your industry where like that's a given? Or do you feel like right now you're in a stage where you can do that and you kind of like are girl bossing it and you just kind of do the overtime because you have to, but also you can? Or do you feel like you've seen people who like know how to draw boundaries and cut off and it's possible to like sustain that, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. In my job right now, there's not a lot of people who have kids. It's a very young
That makes
culture,
sense, yeah.
and I think they do that on purpose because you have the freedom to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I will say at other jobs that like non-tech, like I've seen women have kids and have that balance,
Yeah.
because they have to.
Yeah.
I think, but to answer your question, I think it's half half. I think half of it is like I want to girl boss, and the other half of it is like I have the freedom to. And once I don't, like I think I would want to like figure something else out. But for
Mm,
now, it's perfect for, I'm a night owl by nature,
yeah.
and so it's just perfect for me in that sense, and I just love
Like it just works
scrolling.
for your life stage and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And again, that's why I say like the field and my job specifically is for a specific type, because if
Mm-hmm.
you like structure and you like a specific cutoff time, like that's kind of hard.
Mm-mm.
It's definitely not easy to do, but it's possible.
Okay. Interesting. I was always curious about your day in the life of what it looks like because I feel like when people talk about like because I'm a teacher, I've always been in like this education space, so it's hard for me to like wrap my mind around what like the corporate girlies do.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like people who go to offices
Yeah.
and are at offices all day. I'm like, what the heck are you doing all day? Like not to say
All
like
the
you're not
emails and
doing it.
meetings.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes I'm like, does it really require 9 to 5? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. Sometimes I like
Yeah.
just wonder like what
We should do like a day in the life
I
swap.
know we should.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to talk about like how we got into our line of work.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, like our because we've talked about our friendship starting from college. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's just been cool to see like us
Growth.
being these little college
Yeah.
girlies, figuring out what we want, and then seeing our like career paths kind of form
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I guess you could start because I just remember like you were always into
The
like
internet.
the internet, but it's so interesting because you're a business major, right?
Yeah.
And then I always thought like I don't know, that just was such an interesting shift seeing you go from like business and then
Mm.
seeing that form into social media.
Yeah.
Like how did that
It's
happen?
so interesting. Yeah. So I did do business. Um, but I did it in the mindset of like I wanted to get into advertising and marketing, like
Mm,
because I took a lot of like elective courses where I could to get that,
mhm.
because at the time I was like YouTube obsessed, like a lot of us,
Yeah.
and like obsessed to the point where like I would know their favorite snack or like little
Mm,
details that you
mhm.
wouldn't know unless like you constantly are on the internet.
Yeah.
And something about it was just like intriguing to me. I was like, this is the one thing I think I'm good at. Like I'm really like well versed in like what's going on the internet because I'm always watching. So like,
Yeah.
what can I do? And
Uh-huh.
so I think like many of us, like as we're getting into like the later parts of our college years, like everyone's like trying to look for a job. So like,
Yeah.
I was just like kind of looking out there, seeing what's possible. And
Mhm.
then influencer marketing kind of
Mhm,
came
mhm,
into play.
mhm,
So it's like,
mhm.
it's basically where, let's say you sponsor somebody for like, I don't know, promoting Stanza. So like
Mhm.
someone may be like, okay, I agree to work with the brand if you
Mhm.
pay me a specific fee for this certain amount of posts.
Mhm.
So that's how influencer marketing works. But basically in my role there, like I would be like finding people for specific brands for
Mm,
projects, and
mhm.
then I would have to explain why they were a good fit. So they're
Mhm.
called RFPs, like they're
Mhm.
basically proposals for brands to consider, and like you're
Mm.
competing against other people too, like
Okay.
these agencies, and
Uh-huh.
so whoever wins gets to like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
do the campaign.
Right.
And so I was just like the coordinator trying to like get all the details and like the followings
That
of
was
like.
your first job? Where
Mhm.
where was it again?
It was called The Audience in LA,
Okay.
but it's no longer now.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
back in the day.
Okay.
And then from there, I just honestly I think work is like hard work plus luck, because after that I got into like some big corps, like I would say through hard work and luck, but I got to work at AT&T after that,
Mhm.
manage the brand handles for them, and at the time like they also owned Warner Media, so
Mm.
I was responsible for a lot of the um promotions leading to like the newest releases, like
Mhm.
Wonder Woman at the time,
Mhm, mhm. Oh,
1989
I
or
remember that.
19 something.
Uh,
Yeah.
1989. That's Taylor Swift.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that, and then from there I got to do a quick stint at Google, which was cool because I feel
Mhm.
like, when you're younger, like those are like dream
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
And I think I was just placed at the right time, like meeting the right people.
Mhm.
Because I think also the hardest part about corporate is yes, hard work plays into it, but you need to be a good at networking.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
You
those
gotta
are the
meet the
people
right
who,
people,
yeah,
yeah.
those are the people who give you chances and
Yeah.
get you to the door.
Uh-huh.
And like people always ask me like, do you think I can do it? I think
Mm.
in one essence, know because the job is very specific, especially for social media. Like you have to be well versed in internet culture, and there's a lot of things that go into it, and it's not as simple as people say. But in the other aspect of it, yes, if like you're willing to learn, everything is doable if you're willing to learn, but like the level of skill is where it kind of differs. So that's kind of where I say like no, depending on the situation. But yeah, I think there's a misconception that people think like social media is easy because everyone's on social media. But it's like different when it's like your personal versus like a brand. And there's a lot of legalities that go into play and things that like I can't do certain fun things and things like that. But anyways, yeah, going from Google, like which is very structured. Like you learn a lot about managing people because that's just how they run. And even in my current role right now, it's creative, but like I also manage people. And that is it's a lot to handle because like having a kid, like you're emotionally responsible, and like I only have so much power in those spaces that like, you know, if my boss says something, then I have to follow suit even if I don't agree, you know? So it's kind of like playing that line a little bit. But yeah, I think that's kind of how my natural progression kind of went, and like who knows where I'll go next. But yeah, I feel very fortunate and blessed, and like nothing's ever forever, so I'm just enjoying it for now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like a big thing I like just really respect about you is seeing your career progression, and like a big thing I wanted to talk about because that's just like a layer I really wanted to peel back because I just feel like people see you and like on the surface, like you're just like a cute, happy, ditzy, bubbly girl.
I have my moments for sure.
Yeah. And it's not a bad thing, but also it's like, dude, you have girl bossed so hard. Like you worked for, AT&T, Google, that's huge. Like, and now you're at TikTok, one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just been like so awesome to see, and like I just respect it a lot.
Thank you.
I did have a question. Was your was your role always social media manager?
After
change?
influencer marketing, because there was a time where I managed a YouTuber too. So
I remember that.
everything after the influencer coordinator role I had, it was social media.
Social media manager.
It was kind of like the natural progression.
Got it.
Because they're related. But before I get into like my reasonings of why, I would love to hear your journey and like things like that.
It's just so funny because I feel like it's so different, and it's just like, because it's like, for you, it's like climbing the corporate ladder, right? And then like in corporate world, I feel like there's such a big like push for like, like change your job here, stay there for a little bit, leverage that for another company, ask for higher pay, work your way up, like, but like that doesn't exist in my world. So it's just really interesting to hear. And networking too, like I think there is a level of networking you can do as a teacher, but at the same time it's like, I don't know, maybe not the biggest thing for us. So
what's the biggest thing?
I don't know. Like for us, I mean, it really is like your experience, I think. I think networking does help. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just kind of like you still have to interview, you still have to, all of that. I don't know. But I guess just getting into how I got into teaching. So I'll try to concise it, but basically like I'm a special ed teacher. I always kind of knew that I wanted to work with like the disability community. When people ask me why or how, it's still like a very weird question mark because I know why, but at the same time it's still very odd to me that like this is kind of like where my direction was, because I feel like most people who work with people with disabilities have like a family member, or like, oh, it's because my niece had Down syndrome, or like my cousin, like my little cousin had autism. And for me, it was like, oh shoot, like I didn't really have that experience. But anyway, I'll go into maybe why I had a little bit of empathy in that situation. But anyway, so I think for me, basically, like I just kind of always felt drawn to the community. It always starts with a mission trip. That might be a red flag, but like I remember I went on a mission trip. I was really young. I was like in middle school, but I don't even remember the details, but I was supposed to have like a big group of kids for
Mhm.
like our VBS camp,
Mhm.
but I got stuck with one girl, and the whole like camp I was like just with her.
Mhm.
I don't know what her needs were. I just knew that she wasn't verbal. She needed a lot of assistance just getting water and all
Mhm.
of that. So I basically just like helped her the whole time.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like it was a big deal until everyone made it a big deal. Everyone was like, Lois, you're so patient. Like, oh
Mm.
my God, what you're doing is incredible. And I was like, this is really not a big deal.
How old were you?
I was like in middle
Middle
school.
school.
Yeah. So I think that stuck with me because I really felt like I was just like, I'm literally just helping someone. It's not that big of a deal. I almost felt like it was messed up that people were like, you're
Mm.
so patient. I was like, dude, I'm literally just
Like you would do it for
yeah,
anyone.
yeah, kind of thing. So I don't know, that just like stuck with me. And then I think going into like high school, I always like struggle with like what am I good at? Like I always felt like very kind of jack of all trades, master of none.
Mhm.
So I just always struggle with that, but I did feel like a draw to, best buddies.
Mhm.
So there was like a club at my school, but in high school, the big thing was like getting community service hours. I didn't want to join the club and be like, I'm helping people with disabilities. Give me my community service hours for college. So I actually didn't join that club. Um, but then when I went to college, I went to Riverside with you,
Mhm.
joined the big Korean Christian Casey and Bubble,
Mhm.
but I transferred to UCI.
Mhm.
And when I transferred to Irvine, I was like, oh, I really want to do something out of my shell, out of my bubble. And there was a Best Buddies chapter at UCI, and that was really big. I was like, oh shoot, like I really wanted to join that in high school. This is my chance now.
What a full circle
I
moment.
know, right? So that was big for me. I learned a lot through that in terms of navigating relationships with adults with disabilities, kind of a different world. Disability adults who are working and things like that. So that was a really big learning experience, and that was really awesome. I actually wanted to work for them, but there was no opportunity. Yeah, so that's kind of where the pivot happened. And then I learned about the world of ABA. Don't come for me. I know that ABA is it's a controversial topic
What
these
is that for the
days.
people who don't know?
ABA is basically it's like a behavioral therapy, applied behavior analysis. It's a way of basically providing therapy services for people with autism, but it doesn't have to be autism. Anyone with like a disability where you're working on basically certain behaviors, lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. It can be like it's so vast what you're able to do through it. I learned so much through that. I did that for a few years.
Yeah.
Pros and cons to that. I'll get into that one day. Maybe it's controversial. I know some people are like anti-ABA. I have to say, I understand that, but I also learned a lot through that, and a lot of that I carry into my work right now.
Oh, I'm so curious to know because like it sounds like so helpful. Like you're helping people adapt to like their behavioral like
Yeah.
what they lack or something.
Yeah, it's pretty controversial, and I can get more into it later, but in essence, I think a lot of it, it's like, oh, you're telling me how to be normal, or like you're telling me how to, yeah, it's like
defining normal.
yeah, and kind
Defining
of
it
like,
for
oh,
them.
like why should I have to stop doing this, or why should my behavior have to look like this?
I see that too.
Yeah, so it's controversial, but I've seen pros and cons, but I learned a lot through that. But basically, that was kind of like my post grad stint, and I felt like from there, I was like, am I going to keep doing this? Am I going to move up in this field, or am I going to pivot? And I started slowly being like, I don't think I can move up in this field, like go clinical. It just didn't feel right for me. And then at the time, I actually also had a small stint in a private school because I just needed something more stable, actually. So I worked at a private school for a little while, and it wasn't special ed or anything. It was just a private school, gen ed. But I was in a kindergarten classroom, and I remember I wasn't a teacher, but I was like an after school program, whatever. But I remember loving my experience in the classroom. And then there's like this thing that I always heard was like, when I forgot what it is, like your skills and your passion like collide, that's your calling.
Oh, that's a
Ooh.
good line.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shoot, okay, like I like being in the classroom. I feel passionate about it and I feel like I'm good at it. But like what I want or my skill is like in the classroom, but I felt like my passion was to work with people with disabilities. And that's when I had like a light bulb moment of like, I should be a special education teacher. So yeah, I just went for it. I started my credential program and then went down the road of that. And
That's
then
crazy. It's kind of like a thought, and it became that thing.
yeah. So I just kind of went for it, and then have been a teacher for 4 years now.
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets?
Ooh,
Man.
go there.
I mean, my only regret is that I should have done my master's with my credential so that I wouldn't have been stuck doing this.
You could do that?
Yeah. So the reason why, so my program had that option of like getting my credential and my master's, but that program would have taken a little bit longer. So my reasoning at the time was, I don't know if I'm going to be teaching for a long time. I'd rather finish this program ASAP, get a job ASAP, start making money. And then if I feel like I'm going to teach for a long time, I'll get my master's. That was my reasoning.
Like you weren't 100% sunk into
that
idea.
Yeah, just like commitment to one career. It's scary. And so I kind of was like, I might hate it. Like, I don't want to get my master's if I'm going to hate it and quit.
You guys
like,
try it out.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Let's teach for a few years and then maybe get my master's later on. I can always get it later on.
Yeah.
I'm kind of still glad I stuck with that reasoning because, yeah, who knows? I could have absolutely hated it. So many people, the exodus of teaching, like, but like the fact that I'm still here and I was like, I decided to get I was crazy enough to think.
That's great.
I know.
You did that.
And I did it.
You did it.
Yeah. So, but that's how I landed in special ed. Yeah.
What a journey.
I know. Like,
yeah, from that small interaction with that child in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it so interesting that like I feel like it's one of those things where if you don't experience it yourself, it's easy to be like, why can't they do it like this? So like in that situation, they're like, you're so patient.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's like you would have done that for anybody. Yeah. But I'm glad it led you to that path.
I know, right? It's kind of crazy.
I feel like it fits you in the sense of like you are like I don't know if patience is the right word, but you have the capacity and the heart for it. Yeah. I think it's different when you instead of like, you're doing it for the people.
Yeah. It's always weird to navigate like when people say that, like, oh, it's because you're so patient. And it's just like I feel like everyone has a level of patience for what they want to care about.
Yes.
Because
you care about that.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like it's almost messed up to be like, you're so patient, but it's like, wouldn't you be patient for someone who needs help? You know, like
you're gonna leave them there, like.
But at the same time, I have to also understand it's kind of like no, everyone has their different like skill and passion and like capacity of what they like want to be able to do. And like for me, like I don't know if I would have the patience to like deal with people in your setting and like do what you do. Like I feel like I can maybe, but do I want to? Like do I want to put my energy and patience and like in that space? Maybe not. I don't think so, So
one day
maybe
we'll do a life swap.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like would you recommend this to
I would say I would recommend it if you are willing to take the pros and cons. I think when I think about social media, just like before I got into it, it's like glamorous. You get to meet people, you get to go to things, and that's all the fun parts of it. But that's like 1%, and everything else, because corporate politics come into play, and also social media specifically, it is a 24/7 job. Like I remember, like I would be meeting friends. I'd be like, hold on, I need to post. It's just it's become part of my lingo.
No, for
like
sure.
And someone has to just be good at that, I guess. And I think I've just kind of learned to tolerate it, or I've grown accustomed to it, where it's like part of my like everyday. But if that's not something that you're willing to do and kind of be on the clock, I wouldn't recommend. But
Yeah.
if that's something that excites you, you know, like creating things from scratch, like being able to just like tap into a trend and like show your humor, managing big accounts, and being creative. I think being creative is like a big thing. I never thought that my job was creative because I always thought like graphic designers or people who are actually like, I don't know, like creative in that way. Like it's creative in what I'm just doing, like it's like operational, but I realize it is creative. But yeah, I would say I would only recommend it if those things excite you and like you feel like you wouldn't look at it as a job. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I feel like, again, our jobs are so different, but we share that because, like, for me, like, if I were to recommend special ed, number one, don't do it. I'm just kidding. Run.
Run.
But I feel like, yeah, like, I guess our recommendation or advice for anyone seeking a career is like not being naive, I guess, about the glamour of like what our jobs are. Because like you said, like with social media, it's like, oh, you get to meet these people. You're part of TikTok. You're part of this big thing. And like with special ed, it's like, I think the big thing that leads people away is that it's so easy to go into teaching. Like, I'm going to change lives. I'm going to touch that one kid's heart. I'm going to impact and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I mean, especially for special education, I feel like the return or just like what you get back is like 0.05%.
Yeah. And
And
that's sad.
it's sad.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's just like, I think thankfully I had not as much of a naive mindset going into special education, going into teaching. I think I actually went into it with a very cynical mindset, which actually is probably what helped and is probably why I'm still teaching, is that I went into it knowing like the system is flawed. Like, I know a lot of it is paperwork, a lot of it is meetings, difficult parents. Like, I knew all of that going into it. Obviously, it's still like, oh my God, like when you're in the thick of it. But I kind of knew that, like going into it, I knew it wasn't going to be all rainbows and butterflies, changing the world.
Right.
And it's just like,
you're realistic.
Yeah. And I like went into it knowing like it's going to suck probably, but it's, yeah, that 0.05% that keeps you going of like, you do see the impact
like
of
your
what you
passion
do.
outweighs the negative aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I was so close to quitting this year. Like, I was like looking at
Yeah, I've seen your stories.
I know. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, it's so hard. And I feel like it's just gonna keep getting harder. I don't know. It's rough out there, guys. Like
Yeah. We need
teaching.
more teachers.
I know. It's
crazy.
Yeah, but that's do I recommend? Probably not. I mean, it just sucks because it's like, oh, you don't go into teaching for the money. Dude, like we need money.
Yeah.
Like we need to get paid better.
Yeah.
It's okay to want to be financially stable and want a higher paying job.
Right.
Let's normalize that.
I think that's one of the like jobs that should be paid more.
Yeah, it's just like a toxic cycle of like, oh, well, you didn't go into this for knowing it's the money, right? It's like, yeah, I know, but it's like I could still want both. Like I could still want to have this job and still wish for like better pay and
sustainable living.
Yeah, sustainable living, which should be a normal desire, but it's just like this weird toxic cycle of like, well, you signed up to be a teacher. It's like, okay, well, thanks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It sucks.
Again, the thankless job.
Yeah.
A side tangent on that is like I've been watching. So right now, the Dallas Cowboys documentary.
Oh yeah, I didn't even watch that yet.
And it's funny because again, it looks like a really glamorous job because they're out on the field, but they're talking about their pay, and they make like $15-$20 an hour, like
Really?
per game.
Oh my God!
So like
per game?
Yeah. So like for them, it's not for the money either. Like they think of it as like a privilege. But then obviously they would like, but I was like, that's I would never expect it to be that low.
Yeah. Holy.
They were like, it's the equivalent of like a part-time worker. And like some people, like they like nurse and then they do that on the side. I'm like, wow.
I think I saw clips of that where they're like, that's their day job or like their nurse and then this is that's injustice.
Epitome of like glamour
I know.
versus like the reality.
That's wild. Okay. I wanted to get into the why of our hustle. Why? I feel like because I've seen some people, and I don't judge this at all, or I don't think it's a bad thing. I've seen people take breaks, gaps. I feel like we both didn't really have the privilege to be able to do that. We've always kind of felt like we had to work, and we've always worked hard to kind of get to where we are.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like you've worked so hard? What's your why behind your girl bossing?
Oh my gosh. Do we have 2 hours? Because
I
it's
know.
such a deep question. I'm looking down like with no clock.
I know.
But I think for me, it's very rooted in the fact, in the fact that I have a disability too. I feel like what we talked about, having a disability, I feel like people assume your capabilities and like where your ceiling could be.
Yeah.
And because I grew up like that, like my parents were very tough on me, being like, you need to survive out in the world. And like that came out in ways that like made me hard to understand. Like it was like I didn't take it well, because my parents are first second generation, and like they're trying to be loving, but it comes out,
Yeah.
in a way. And I think that like was instilled in me at a very young age. Like I need to like make it out in the world and survive. Like it's a cutthroat world out there, and on top of it, like I'm a female, and females are just makes it tough. And on top of being a female, I have a disability, so it's like double whammy of like
you're Korean
things.
American, you're Asian,
I'm Korean American, marginalized, all the things. It's like I have everything plus some,
Yeah.
And I think with that, it's like it like pushed me to be like, okay, like I need to prove to my family, but I also need to prove to myself and other people that I can do this, because a lot of people doubted me. I think like even my parents are like, oh, like can you like do this or whatever? And like even me getting into tech, and like for example when I was working at Google, they're like, oh, like that was their aha moment of like, oh wow, like we can like put our worries to rest and like trust her, because they're worried that like when they're gone, like can she sustain herself?
Yeah.
And I think that was like the turning point for them. And also because I have an older sibling, and there's a comparison point of like she went to Berkeley, I went to UCR, and like I'm saying like college isn't everything, but like when you're going from high school to college is what you kind of gauge.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, like she's going to UCR, but like sister went
at
to
the time UCR was like
poop.
Yeah.
And so
school.
in comparison, like my sister went to Berkeley, so it's like, oh, like well, she'd be okay,
Yeah.
And then after I got into things and like was in the tech space for a while, I think my hustle reason kind of shifted. Because I would say in the last couple of years, it's an homage to my parents to pay them back. Like I want to be able to afford whatever they need. I want to be able to purchase for them. So it's been that kind of driver. And because they're retired now, so like in any way I can, I just want to repay them, even in the small amounts that I'm paying them, even though it doesn't equate the same. So it's kind of that, plus one other thing currently, which is I'm not dating. So like my brain space is like wide open. So like I feel like if there's any time to hustle, it's right now. And like if and when I find someone in the future, like I want to dial back. But until then, like I have the freedom to, so it's like I'm gonna go full out, But I think those are the reasons and how they've evolved.
That's so beautiful. How about you? Just seeing how, it went from like proving your parents wrong to now paying homage to them and trying to like give back. That's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's never gonna be repaid, which is tough.
Yeah. Do you feel like growing up seeing your parents hustle has taught you kind of the value of hard work? Like,
I think growing up seeing like them struggle in the sense of they worked every single day, Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, but like there's a lot of things that I miss. Like I think when I was younger, something that I envied from other friends was they would go on summer trips. I've never like gone on a summer trip with my family,
because they were working all the time.
yeah, and like the trips that we've gone on are only recent because like we have the time now that they're free, so I feel like I'm making up for lost time in those aspects. But yeah, it was kind of seeing them struggle with like just having to work every day that I don't want to in my future if I can, like if I can prevent that and like you know be more free from my parents or my future family. It's kind of like a wish list. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like so much of our generation works so hard to break the cycle of our previous generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to carry.
Yeah. It's hard because times have changed too. So it's just like the level of hustle we have to put in, I feel like, to get what we want is so much harder right now.
Yeah.
Because hello, inflation.
Yeah.
Hello,
Inflation.
economic times. Like, goodness gracious.
The job market these days.
Yeah.
Just a lot of different
rough
factors
out there. Yeah. Wow.
All right. How about you?
Okay. The hustle for me, I don't know. I feel like I think it has a lot to do with like my college years. I feel like I grew up fairly like we were always a middle class family. And maybe we had some struggle. I think like what 2008 everybody saw
the crash.
But other than that, like I don't have a lot of memory of like struggling too much as a family until then. And then in college was when I started really seeing the reality of like our family's financial situation. And basically got to the point where again it still wasn't terrible, but like middle class is a difficult place to be in, especially when you go to college, because it's like you don't get a lot of loans, but you also can't pay. It really, really sucks. But basically in college, my parents basically told me I needed to get a car, and they were like, you're gonna have to work to pay off your car. At the time I was seeing a lot of people getting cars gifted by their parents.
It's crazy.
A lot of people were I don't know, you were in this situation where like people were getting like loans, like money back, like refund checks in college. I've never seen a refund check in my life. So a lot of people were operating off of their refund checks in college and just kind of playing with that. That was like their allowance. That's fine, that's great, whatever. I didn't really get that because of our situation is really weird. We're like we're just
in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle where it was like I'm not getting any refund check, I'm barely getting loans, and then we also have to pay out of pocket. It wasn't great. So I had to work in college. My first job was the dining halls.
She did the dining halls.
I was scrubbing pots and plates back there in the kitchen, wiping tables, making sandwiches.
The ones that you ate in freshman year.
Exactly. Yes, they were actually kind of bomb. What was that one sandwich place called again? I don't remember.
I forget too, but it was bomb.
It was good. But yeah, I mean, so that was my first job, was like I think that taught me so much, honestly. Like literally it was so humbling to scrub pots and pans. Like it was disgusting. Sometimes I wanted to throw up because like the smell of all the food, I had to scrape off the food off the plates. Like, you know, when you eat and then you put your plate on that little rotating thing. I'm the person behind it scraping the food off and putting it in the trash can. And sometimes like the smell of all of that, especially with the ketchup, I was like, "Ugh." Like that was me, dude. Like literally scraping the food off. Yeah, that was me. That taught me character. If anyone asks, like, you have grit, that was my first job. Scrubbing pots and pans. Yeah.
And also, let's not forget, you also made laptop cases.
Oh my god. So yeah. Oh wow. That's like sometimes I forget about that because I like block it out of my memory. But yeah, so basically like that was my first job in college. I also ended up tutoring a lot. I also worked in retail. That was character building. Fashion too. I worked at a clothing store for several years. I worked a lot of hours while I was still full-time school. I worked like 25, 30 hours a week while being a full-time college student. So I think that built a lot of character. But I had like little side hustles of like, I built laptop sleeves to raise funds for mission trips. that ended up kind of going into like a little passion project thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't know this about me, is that I had this little stint of making these pillows that were
So
called
cute.
Pillow Pals. The real ones know. I even did was it GoFundMe or no, it wasn't GoFundMe. It was the other thing where like for businesses only, I think. Basically, it was like a GoFundMe thing. I reached my financial goal. I had to make like hella pillows though, and I was like traumatized after that, and I was like, I'm done.
Oh, because they gave you a portion or something, right?
Yeah, like I don't know, but that was my little side, my entrepreneurship like venture.
And it's crazy. I feel like I've seen you in that, and like now that I've seen you kind of grow into who you are today, I feel like it just showcased how much you can handle.
Yeah.
Because, you know, married life, oh, my stomach's growling.
Mine too.
We're hungry, I guess. Married life and having a kid, like, that's no easy feat.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, I guess I prepared you in a sense, but like, yeah, I always saw you working and hustling, like, sewing those things. It takes hours. And then you also like completed all your schoolwork.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know essentially where it all comes from, but I think like those years in college were really formative years of like, yeah, just really like me learning grit, hard work, perseverance, because I didn't really have a choice. I had to pay for my car. Like it was, I think that was the big thing. I think some people worked to have allowance and like, so I could play. But for me, it was like, I had to pay for my car. So I think that level of like necessity really pushed me. But I learned so much from that. And I think there was a level of bitterness that I had in college because I was like, everyone gets to play, everyone's doing this and that, and everyone gets allowance. Why am I working? But honestly, like I'm so grateful for those years. I think I wouldn't be who I am today without those years. So yeah,
it's still on. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
I almost freaked out. No, but I think so. It like built your character.
Yeah,
and we laugh about it now, but I'm sure you felt some type of way.
Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of where my hustle comes from, because I feel like even right now, because like I'm married, you know, double income household, kind of right now, but like I still carry that sense of like independence that I had those years in college, where I had to on my own like make a certain amount of money, pay off my car and things like that. And even getting married, like I struggle with that sometimes of accepting help. Like Ben's like, my money's your money is my money. But I'm like, yes, but it was like hard for me to like shift my mindset into that. But that's, I feel like where my hustle comes from.
And look at you now.
I know.
Full master.
Yeah. And I have to say I'm really proud of the fact that I paid for my master's program with the money that I saved up. So I don't have any debt with my master's program. And I feel like that's a big feat.
That's a big feat.
Yeah. So I was like, my savings might be pretty depleted, but I don't have debt. So
money can always be earned.
Exactly. That was my mindset. I was like, I don't want debt. I don't want loans. I don't want interest. Like if I have to deplete my savings a little bit, that's fine. But I like this master's is to help me increase my pay anyway.
It'll
Some financial gurus might think that was a bad move. I don't know. I'm proud of what I did. It'll come back to you. Yeah.
You invested in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway.
That was a lot.
I know that was a lot. Man, I guess I kind of want to just like bring it back down to like a little fluffier subject of like, if you could have any other career, or if you had what was your dream job as a kid? Why did that change? You know.
Yeah. This is a funny one. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I'll go first, because I don't know if I've ever told you this. When I was little, I wanted to be a vet.
You can see that because you're the dog. Yeah.
I wanted to be a vet or an actress.
Oh, the actress one surprises me, but I can see that because she's big on TikTok these days. So
I think when I was young, the vet thing, it's because I loved animals, and then I learned that as a vet, you also have to put animals down, and that was my dream crusher. I was like, I can't do that, so that dream was crushed pretty fast. I wanted to be an actress when I was little. I was always like a little entertainer. Yeah, and I loved making people laugh. I feel like I still have that aspect to me. It's died down a
you're
little
goofy,
bit. Yeah, but I've always had that level of like, I love entertaining people. And I think I
Let's
just
plug your TikTok page. What's her TikTok page?
I don't want to plug it.
All right, no, if you guys find her,
Yeah,
you're lucky.
you know. But yeah, that's and I think I wanted to bring that up because like as the reason why I didn't ever consider it was because there was a representation. I always like it's sad that as a young girl that I like had this like, oh, I want to be on Disney Channel, I want to be an actress, but then I also as a young girl had the mindset of like, oh, but I'm Asian, like I'll never make it, which is really sad, right?
Not now.
I
We've
know,
come a long way.
but and that's why like representation is so important. That's a whole other topic. But it's just like interesting that that's like my mindset.
Right.
At the time, I literally said, I'm Asian. Like, I don't think I'll ever make it. And I need to make more money. Like, yeah.
It's like not stable.
Yeah. But that was my childhood dream.
I mean, if money wasn't a factor, like that's something you could definitely go for.
I know, but like, if I like think about that now, like what would I do now? What's my dream? Like I like the idea of being an actor doesn't really like appeal to me at this point. But yeah.
I mean, you are living it through your TikTok.
I know that's like really just for funsies kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think I have two. So my original dream was to be a fashion stylist because I love fashion.
I remember you always
but then my mom was like, let's think about something else. But like also I realized carrying the clothes will probably be really heavy and I don't have any string. But I think I just like the juxtaposition of like putting things together. Because my sister would always ask for my opinion with clothes. She'd be like, does this look good? And I'd be like, no. And then she would actually like listen to me. But then, I think that dream kind of died with like my parents being like, oh, you do something else. So after that, actually it looks like I had three. I wanted to be a psychologist. Because I love how the brain works. And like I love how like for the same prompt, you might have a different response because of how you grew up.
Right.
And I just like that, like that it's so different and people are so complex in that way that it really intrigued me. But then at the time, my parents were very like doctor, lawyer, those are the only two options. And so it was like, find something else. But honestly, if money wasn't a factor, like my actual dream was to be a singer. Like I'm working late, we did that. But so I've had this.
I remember talking about how you like wanted to go on a show.
Oh my gosh. It reminds me of a couple things. So like when I was in middle school, I like confessed to our mutual friend in my townhouse like community pool bathroom, being like, hey, I have a secret to share. And this was when like American Idol had just come out and Kelly Clarkson had won. And I was like, I want to go, like, I want to sing. And she was like, oh, like, let me hear something. It was like the bathroom acoustics. So I was singing like a moment like this in the bathroom. And the funny part is we met up because we needed to film an English project together. We had to act out like a poem, and we had Edgar Allan Poe. And like we dunked ourselves in our community pool. It was a whole thing. And at the end, like of the night, like she's like, "Hey, just put your singing at the back of this video that we have to present to the class." And I was like, "That's a brilliant idea." And so we're like doing multiple takes, and then her dad comes. Like she's like, I have to go. And I was like, I'm not ready yet though. Like, we're going through multiple takes. And she was like, it's okay, my dad will handle it. And I think her dad like edited the video.
Wait, so you sang it just in front of her dad?
Oh no.
Oh, you already sang it
in the recording. Yeah. And remind you, this needed to be presented to the class. And like, our little project, it plays. And then it fades to black. And then that's where I'm like, hey guys. Yeah. So I sing my little song and the room is like
crickets.
Yeah. And then you know how it's like those slow claps?
Yeah.
was like one of those. And I think my friend's dad still has the video.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see that when hopefully married and it's
Did that crush your
video.
dreams, you feel like?
It did, because after that we had like talent shows during lunch, and I also did that one time.
You sang?
Yeah, but then the thing was, and this was like a different time.
Yeah.
But the thing was, like, you had to sign up for this, and there's like finals happening at the same time. Like everyone, you balance that. But the person who went before me, she was like really good. Like that was like her passion. Like she made YouTube videos, like really good, right? Yeah. And like I had my parents help, like getting me ready. I had a dress. Like my mom helped me with my makeup. And like the next time, it's like my turn, right? And I go up to this stage, and this is outside in our like communal like space where like seniors would sit in a certain like tree section, like juniors, whatever. And I forget what song I sang, but like I forgot the lyrics in the middle or something like that. And I'm like, and then I just like leave. And then everyone else like
you blinked out and then you just left.
I literally blinked out and I left. And the people who performed after me were like really good. And so I think those multiple moments like crushed. But oh my gosh, I'm gonna out myself right now. Okay. I think I still believed in it because in college there was an audition for an a cappella group.
Yes, I remember.
And I like confessed to Lois, like, hey, like I really want to apply. And I think this was like during the era of like Pitch Perfect or something.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'll go with you. Like we had to like go down this like incline.
I went
like,
with you?
Yes. Like our dorm was like on an incline, so we had to like go down. And she had to walk with me because it was in a specific section of like the campus. And I remember my song was Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. And my friend had to wait outside while I was auditioning.
Me?
Yeah. And mind you, this is a cappella. So I go in there and they play like on the piano. They're like, okay, sing this note.
Oh,
sing. And I'm like, and they're like, okay. And they're like, okay, let's hear your song. And I sing, the first bits of, Isn't She Lovely? And they're like, awesome. And then only 5 minutes had passed, okay? And they're like, okay, thank you so much, and I walk out and Lois goes, you're done already? And I was like, oh yeah. And we did the walk of shame back up because I knew at that point it was just not it, because 5 minutes, come on. But I really wanted to be like, the Pitch Perfect, like, in harmony. I still like to sing, but like, it's maybe if I train myself, take some voice lessons, it can be what it needs to be. But yeah, so I tried that multiple times. It was for funsies, but
dead. That's hilarious.
But yeah, they were like competing, like how Pitch Perfect, they had those elite competitions. Like this group, I think, was like trying to compete like in those things. But yeah, those are my 3 dreams or multiple dreams.
Wow. That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, I'm so sorry. What? Also, in hindsight,
no, it's hilarious.
I know, that's hilarious. Wow.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's
good times.
It's good times. I laugh at it now, but it was so traumatizing back then.
I know.
I literally froze at those moments. So.
Wow. I mean, that took guts.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
For my embarrassment, but also joy.
That was your Guts World Tour.
It was my Guts for World Tour, and I think Olivia was probably like 10.
Yeah, she was like 8 years old at the time.
She was just like starting off, okay?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like
well, how about you, in the sense of not like a vet, but like any like
like if I could be anything kind of thing? I don't know. I feel like it's weird because like when I I feel like I wish I had a funnier answer, but when I think of like if I had all the money in the world, if I had all the like money wasn't a problem, whatever, it would go back to still what I do, but
No.
just creating a system, which I feel like is near impossible, but creating like a school or a
Yeah.
system or something in place where just like all the barriers that I face are peeled back and like creating something better than what exists now.
Like an onion.
Yeah. That's my not funny answer, but
That's good.
that's
That means
my
like
wholesome.
you're doing what you really need to do or
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah. That's kind of what I wish to do and wish to see is just like the perfect picture perfect world for special education, for inclusion, for disabilities and all of that. So
And we can go into like, you know, that like sped POV versus someone who has which I'm excited for in a future episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. Glad
Yeah.
you're in the right space.
Yep. Well, cheers to
that.
Cheers to failed dreams.
Hustles and fair dreams.
And
failed dreams, not
failed dreams.
Failed dreams.
And successful future careers. Clink clink. We'll talk more about our jobs and how that plays out and things like that, but that's it.
That's all, folks.
That's
for
what it
today.
is for now. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hopefully, you guys can hear our gurgling of the stomach.
Our stomachs. All right. Bye.
Bye.